Well, while the FBI has been busy raiding the president's lawyer's office to find Stormy Daniels documents, our next guest is spearheading the effort to find out why the Department of Justice opened the Russian collusion probe in the first place. Surprise, surprise, the DOJ won't give us straight answers. Joining me now exclusively, House Intel Committee Chairman Devin Nunes, a Republican from California. Congressman Nunes, thanks for being on tonight.
It's great to be here.
You've been trying to get documents for as long as I've been doing the show.
It's my lot in life.
Yeah, exactly. That's all you do is try to get
documents.
And people have been asking, why is it that you haven't yet held anyone in contempt of Congress? That's a big deal to do that. You know, Eric Holder was held in contempt of Congress, as I recall, over the Fast and Furious documents. But what gives here? And what do you still need?
Because we've been in a situation where it's trickle-down documents. So we issued the subpoena in August. We walked through piece by piece. Every time we get a little bit more. As you know, we had to get out the major information, which was the information on the warrant against Carter Page, who was a Trump associate. So since that time, we've been investigating the State Department, and we have especially have an interest in this electronic communication.
EC. I've never heard of the EC, which is the document that establishes the justification, correct, for ultimately naming the special counsel. This whole thing ended up in the...
Not the special counsel. Open the counterintelligence investigation.
Open the counterintel investigation initially that ultimately led to the special counsel.
Yeah, so it's a two-page document. I sent Chairman Gowdy over there to see it originally. It was fully redacted, so they couldn't read anything. I called back several times, had conversations with Rosenstein and with Director Wray, the FBI director. Mr. Gowdy and the investigators went over there again, and there was only a few more things that were unredacted, so most of it was still redacted. So now we're at this point again, we're at a boiling point where we need this, what is only a two-page document. It's only a two-page, it's less than 2 pages from what I understand. And, you know, if the record wasn't that every time they hide something from us, that then we find out it was really bad and they hid it from us for a long time.
Like the Judge Contreras issue.
Like the text, like the
struck page,
the warrants, the warrant that they got on Carter Page.
So the trickle-down information, unredacted, then you're like, oh, no, that's why you redacted.
Yeah, so now just the fact that they're not giving this to us tells me there's something wrong here.
Well, Robert Costa from the Washington Post is speculating tonight on Twitter that you are on the verge of moving to hold Christopher Wray and Rod Rosenstein in contempt of Congress. And you have a deadline of tomorrow, apparently, to get this information. Is this a real possibility tonight?
I can tell you this. We are going to get the document. We are going to get the 2 pages. So they can either cough them up now, or it will get really complicated starting tomorrow night, and we'll have to take all the steps necessary in order to get the documents.
What are you thinking might be in this document? I mean, are you going to intent
well,
from the beginning? An early insurance policy if Trump was actually the nominee or the ultimate victor?
Well, here's our challenge with this. So if you believe what's in the New York Times and Washington Post, so sometimes they actually do get leaked information. So
getting a lot lately.
In that leaked information that came out in December 30th, I think, of this year, was the information on an Australian diplomat talking to Mr. Papadopoulos. That's what they say is in the EC, but we haven't been able to see the EC to confirm that. So somehow the New York Times has it. The American people have read it, but the U.S. Congress does not have that information, and we have the full right to that information.
Are you disturbed by some of these leaks that seem to be emanating from the special counsel's office or from the U.S. Attorney's Office, Southern District of New York, about the intent of what that raid on the Cohen office was, what they were really looking for, what they're speculating? Seems like a lot of information came out yesterday, last 24 hours.
Well, the bigger problem I have about the leaks, and I'll say this for the 100th time. The special counsel, I would have thought, would have got to the felony leaks of General Flynn's name being leaked to the press with very, very high-level information. And so it seems like the special counsel is good at leaking, but not so good at actually finding major felony leakers.
What are the chances you're going to hold them in contempt of Congress right now?
Well, I can just tell you that we're not going to just hold in contempt. We will have a plan to hold in contempt and to impeach.
To impeach Christopher Wray?
Absolutely.
Rod Rosenstein?
We're not messing around here. They're going to give these two.
They're going to say you're just Trump's lackey here. You're doing Trump's bidding. That's what the Democrats, they've been demonizing you from the beginning. I've been the subject of some demonization myself, so I know how it goes. But they're going to demonize you and say, oh, you're just going to run over the White House, help Trump out every time he's in a jam.
Yeah, well, as I said before, whenever I see evidence of Russian collusion, I'll be the first person standing out there on the steps of the Capitol that I found the Russian collusion with the Trump campaign. I haven't found it yet, but I found a whole lot of other stuff that always puts DOJ and FBI in a bad light, unfortunately.
The media, the other media channels are salivating tonight in a frothy frenzy over, once again, Trump's going to fire Robert Mueller. Trump's going to fire Robert Mueller. Huckabee Sanders was asked about this today. This is what she said.
Rod Rosenstein oversees special counsel, and only he has the power to fire the special counsel.
Again, we've been advised that the president certainly has the power to make that decision.
I don't think there's any sign that Trump's really going to fire Mueller, but Republicans are freaking out about that as well. But
yeah,
the media's keeping this thing going.
Yeah,
he clearly has the authority.
But they said this before.
Yeah.
He was firing all kinds of people, and none of that ever came to fruition.
Preet Bharara, the former U.S. Attorney, Southern District of New York.
He did get fired.
He did get fired by President Trump. Still very angry about this. This is what he said today.
The regulation is very clear with respect to the special counsel. It says the special counsel may be disciplined or removed from office only by the personal action of the Attorney General. And he may remove the special counsel for a number of enumerated reasons, including misconduct, dereliction of duty, incapacity, and some other things, and has to provide those reasons in writing. So it's very clear that if the President of the United States called, under the current circumstances, and as long as these regulations are in effect, called up Bob Mueller and said, I'm firing you, Bob Mueller, I would expect, would not heed that.
Apparently the regulations trump the Constitution. We have an executive branch, judicial branch, legislative branch. In which branch does Bob Mueller reside? The executive branch. He doesn't reside in the. Who's the head? Again, I think it would not be smart at all for the president to fire Bob Mueller. I do not think it makes sense. As tempting as it may be, I don't think it makes sense. But the idea that he doesn't have the constitutional authority to do that, whether it's politically smart. And Preet Bharara was U.S. Attorney. Do you have any reaction to that?
Well, it shows you this is how far we've gone down over the last 8 or 9 years, where the courts have become activist courts, activist judges. The fact that DOJ and FBI think that they're above the law. So Congress, the legislative branch, we created these agencies, and they have a responsibility to give us documents when we ask for them. We have the appropriate clearances. That's why the House Intelligence Committee exists. So, at the end of the day, we're going to win on this. And it's just a matter of how tough they're going to make it for Congress to actually do our job under the Constitution, the priorities that we're given.
To hold someone in contempt of Congress, I don't know the process. You're the head of the Intel Committee. Do you need to have sign-off from others in the Intel Committee?
Well, there's a lot of different ways you could do it.
Really quick.
What we're doing now is that, ultimately, the Congress has to vote on it.
Okay.
How's that for quick?
Yeah, well, you think, what's the chances of that?
Well, I don't think we're going to have to get there because I think they're going to give us the documents.
We are going to follow this, and we're going to check up on it tomorrow. April 11th is the deadline, so tomorrow.
All right.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Congressman.
Thank you.